Hello there folks, it is TIJ Gaming and welcome back to the Formula 1 2014 Ferrari career mode on the Xbox One. And today it is time for race number 8 of the season, the inaugural Austrian Grand Prix. I say inaugural, it's not really the inaugural Austrian Grand Prix. I suppose it is the first Austrian Grand Prix around the Red Bull Ring. This track used to be called the A1 Ring and served some fantastic races in the early 2000s. But it's been off the calendar for a long while. It's been on the calendar since 2014. It's a great circuit. I do love Austria. But 2014 was the return of the Austrian Grand Prix. The Formula 1 Grosser Prix von Österreich 2014. God, I think my Austrian needs a little bit of work. But anyway, it is time for race 8 today. Just a reminder though of the championship standings before we get started. We have slipped back down to P6 in the championship because of that rather annoying Canadian Grand Prix last time out. We were on for the win potentially, but a few elements we were on a different strategy to the guys who were behind us initially, but we were behind Daniel Ricciardo, Vettel, Alonso and Hamilton, and just too much pushing really meant we got a 20-second time penalty, which meant we actually had a pointless race. From a race where we could have at least got 15 or 18 points, we ended up with none, and that could be really crucial come the end of the season. Our battle realistically now for third. I feel like the title is way too far away. Lewis Hamilton is 60 points above us. He's 23 points ahead of his Mercedes teammate Nico Rosberg, but it's 2 by 2 in terms of the Mercedes, Red Bull and Ferrari formation, with Hamilton leading Rosberg. Daniel Ricciardo surprisingly leads Sebastian Vettel by 9 points, and Alonso leads us by 13 points, which leads to a Constructors' Championship that looks a little bit like this. And once again, it's just gutting that we couldn't quite get the result we needed in Canada, because we'd have been a lot closer to Red Bull, and it might be a race we look back at the end of the season with a little bit of regret that we didn't just settle for third or fourth place in the end. Took home the points rather than being risky, going for it all and actually walking home with no points. But it's a new day today. Hopefully Austria should be a good Grand Prix. A Grand Prix that realistically we're looking at probably Mercedes being good at, but I suppose it could be a Red Bull circuit as well. There's a few long straights, a few tight and twisty turns, but it should be interesting. We're looking to be up there, and it's a circuit I like as well. This run from all the way from Canada all the way up to really Singapore, I really like each and every circuit, so should be a good opportunity for some points. But let's see how we get on. This is the 2014 Austrian Grand Prix. Well. I didn't look at the weather forecast, but admittedly, this is a bit of a shock. Once again, rain. Well, I don't think it's ever rained in Austria. Not for a Formula 1 race, anyway, that I can remember. It did rain, I think it was about 2017, wasn't it, for the qualifying session. Jenson Button got on second place, I remember that. But interestingly, rain for this session, heavy rain, then it lightens, and then in Q3 it's going to be dry. So this should be an interesting session. Much like in Canada, we've got to be out there at the best time possible. But this could be another topsy-turvy qualifying session. It's been cracking qualifying, hasn't it, ever since Monaco. But another chance to do well again, so let's see how we get on. Well, it's absolutely treacherous out here, I'm not going to lie. The grip is just nowhere to be found, to be quite honest. But we have settled in 7th place. Our teammate Alonso is the pace setter. He's set an 18.7, but we're on a 19.3, which looks to be fairly competitive at the moment. As long as we get out of this session, we should be okay. But it feels like conditions are maybe well getting worse, so we might well have seen the best of the track. We did set our best lap time on the previous lap, but for those guys who are coming out later, this might well be a bit of a concern, although that theory might well be botched by the fact that Nico Rosberg has just gone quickest. But we'll just follow the circuit round on this lap. This isn't our best lap, to be honest. We've been a little bit scrappy throughout. As you can see, we're a 10th down in this second sector, but the last sector is a tricky one, so I suppose we could gain a few tenths in that sector if we can. Down to P12, which is a little bit worrying. We've only really got the fuel to finish this lap. As you can see, it's just so hard not to go off of that corner, but coming into the last corner, that's okay. Full power out of it. Are we going to get any improvement? Kevin Magnussen's actually gone pole now. Wow, that's a surprise. But no, we can't improve, and we're going to come into the pits, and if track conditions get better, I suppose we'll have to do a second run. But Kevin Magnussen on pole, bloody hell. Well, nobody's better in their times. It seems like the circuit has got to a peak. I mean, we're in 13th place, and as you can see, everybody behind us has shocking sector time. So we're going to take the risk and not be out there. That's a big risk to take, I'm aware of that, but I don't think the track's going to get any better. And a few shock candidates, as you can see, to go out of the session. Well, you did well not to waste any tyres there, but Felipe Massa out in the Williams and the Red Bull of Daniel Ricciardo both out in Q1. So is the Lotus of Pastor Maldonado. That means that much like in Monaco, the Caterham of Kamui Kobayashi can pick up the pieces and get through to Q2. A Williams and a Red Bull out of Q1. That is bloody amazing. But great performance by Kevin Magnussen to be the pace setter. McLaren looking very good in that session. first and third. Sauber doing well in 10th as well. Well, these Q2 sessions would be interesting. It's going to be intermediate tyres, but nevertheless, we could see some shocks. But a Red Bull going out in Q1, that's about as big a shock as I could think of. The track's still pretty wet on the surface, as you can see, with the water on the surface and the pounding of rain we've got in the last half an hour. But the rain is easing, so it might well be intermediate at the end of the session. It's certainly not intermediate conditions yet, but I can tell you already that the conditions, the track feels a lot grippier than it was, so potentially it could be time for intermediate to come the end of the session, but it's certainly worth staying out on the wets at the moment. Let's see what this first sector time is compared to Fernando, and it looks pretty good, but I feel like Alonso has got a lot more time in him. But this should be an interesting session. Again, we've got to be on top of our game to avoid a Massa or Ricciardo type situation where we get knocked out. Well, it definitely seems like it might well be intermediate times. Everybody else is in the pits. Let's see what the first runner's coming out on. Looks like they're all coming back out onto the wet tyres. So not particularly sure what's going on, why they've all come into the pits, because it's not been that long since the session started. But as you can see, we are the pace setter at the moment. So if anybody goes for a gamble and it doesn't pay off, then the likes of Lewis Hamilton, etc. could well be out. But we're setting good lap times at the moment, so we might as well stay out there, because I don't think, especially from the weather forecast, it's going to get any worse. So if we get out on the inters with, let's say, 5-6 minutes to go, we should still be okay to set a competitive lap time, if the intermediate tyres are the right choice. Well, with 4 minutes to go, there's just one man taking the risk on the inters, it looks like, and that's Sergio Perez for Force India. I mean, I think Alonso's just coming into the pits, so I can see, but do we go for the intermediate tyres? I feel like that's what people are doing, coming into the pits and taking the inters now. So I'm going to take the risk myself. Go out on the inters, low fuel. We're going to have only time for one lap here and just see what we can do. Alonso's coming into the pits. I feel like that's for a change to intermediates, but this is going to be interesting. Let's see how this session ends and whether the intermediates are going to give that pace advantage. I mean, is everybody going to be able to get out there on the inters? Certainly not. Only Sergio Perez. So if there's good time to be made in these inters, there could well be some people who drop out of the session. But the grip's not too bad. That's probably the most challenging corner on the track, so that's pretty telling. But we'll have to see what the pace is like on these intermediate tyres. But ourselves and Sergio Perez might well have made an ingenious decision. But to be fair, it's not really much of a risk to us, because I don't see 10 drivers beating our time in the next 2.5 minutes. Well, the session's over. Nobody got out there in time. Only ourselves and Perez on the inters, and Perez clearly showed his pace in third. So I'll tell you who's through first, and then you can work out who's gone. There's 2 Ferraris, 2 Force Indias, 2 Toro Rossos, that's it. 1 Sauber, 1 Lotus, 1 Mercedes and 1 McLaren. Vettel, gone. Bottas, gone. Gutierrez gone, not really a surprise. The pace setter in Q1 gone. Kobayashi gone. But the bottom runner, Nico Rosberg. So just to recap, before Q3, both of the Red Bulls have gone. Both of the Williams cars have gone. 1 Mercedes is gone. A Caterham's out-qualified a Mercedes. I think that's... well, a Caterham's out-qualified a Mercedes, a Williams, a Lotus and a Red Bull. That's all you need to know. But in Q3, it's a rather mixed-up grid. It's ourselves and Alonso, the 2 Force Indias, the 2 Toro Rossos, Sauber, Lotus, Mercedes and a McLaren. I mean, I think the rain's going to go by the time we get to this session, so surely it's going to be ourselves, Alonso, Hamilton and Button, you would think, on the front 2 rows. The Force Indias might have something to say about that. But we've got a real chance once again in this session to get a brilliant qualifying. My God, qualifying sessions are very interesting lately. And just like that, I can sing a bit of Morecambe and Wise, Bring Me Sunshine and all that stuff. But goodness me, I can't believe how the sun has shone on this circuit, and Hamilton has set a lap just to prove how much quicker it all is. 8 seconds quicker than what we set in Q1. So we've got a little bit of adjusting to do. We've had no practice on the dries, and obviously have a lot more grip now, so we're going to have to work for a few laps. We've got about 8 minutes left. Grosjean's in 9th at the moment. Hamilton's the pace setter, with Alonso just behind. So you'd hope we'd slot in at least 3rd place. But again, another good chance for a great qualifying position. So our banker lap looks pretty good. Just got to get this section right, which is nice and tight and twisty. Not the best exit to the last corner. What's it going to be as a banker? It's going to be pretty close to Lewis's time. To 109.9, which puts ourselves in the first row of the grid. As you can see, Alonso can't even get within half a second of Lewis Hamilton. We're going to just push it to the medal, because if we can get pole position here, that would be absolutely massive. But let's see how we can improve that first lap time. That's certainly a great lap time to start off with. We've got enough fuel for another lap on these tyres after. Oh dear. Well, that went wrong. That went completely wrong. We've just jeopardised that lap as well. That's a real shame. That could have been a good lap. We were actually 2 tenths up on Lewis into that last sector. But again, greed took over, and we had a real chance there to take pole provisionally, but we couldn't. So it's second place at the moment. We're going to come into the pits and get out there for that last run. And hopefully that won't be yet another mistake which jeopardises our grid position. 2 laps then of fuel again to see if we can take pole for this Austrian Grand Prix. Nobody seems to be challenging Lewis Hamilton at the moment. We're the only man who seems to be able to do it, and we definitely proved on that previous lap we could, if not for that stupid last sector. But 2 tenths up in the second sector. If we can replicate that again, this is definitely a good chance for pole. We don't replicate 2 tenths up this time. Instead, we're half a second up on Lewis Hamilton. Surely he's got some more pace. You can't tell me our car is that much quicker than him round here. But we've got 2 corners to go. Done that one okay. This was the corner we did poorly on last time. We run a little bit wide. No problem with that. Is this going to be pole? At least provisionally, it certainly is. We'll lose a little bit of time in that last sector. In fact, we'll lose 2.5 tenths. A little bit of a concern. But nonetheless, it is pole for the moment. There's a minute and a half to go in this session. Can Lewis Hamilton sneak that back off us? Or are we going to take 2 in a row? We've got another lap to go though here. So if we can improve even more, that'd be fantastic. Well, firstly, I was wrong about Jenson Button. He was out-qualified, quite literally only just by Sergio Perez. But we have taken pole for the second race in a row. That's absolutely fantastic. Ahead of Lewis Hamilton, and Fernando starts third. It's going to be a very interesting race, though, with 2 Force Indias, McLaren, 2 Toro Rossos, a Sauber and a Lotus in the top 10. This should be a cracking Grand Prix once again, and a big chance for a good result for both of us. Not just us, but for Fernando as well. But this grid position is not only 2 poles in a row, it's 3 front row starts in a row. We started in second place in Monaco. We have taken the last 2 pole positions. We've got our teammate directly behind us, Lewis Hamilton, our compatriot, in second. And we've got a big chance to go and win this Grand Prix. The lights are on above the drivers. 3 lights, 4 lights and 5 lights. And we are away for the first Austrian Grand Prix since, I think, 2002, maybe 2003. But it is a good start for us up to the first corner. We've not been challenged. It looks like, though, Fernando Alonso has got ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Those 2 scrapping at the first corner. And we have gone completely out ahead from those 2. So we've got a great chance now of trying to pull a gap. We were the fastest man in qualifying. Might not be fastest on race pace, perhaps. But we have already got a gap of 3 seconds. That is quite unbelievable. Just look at the gap behind us. This is a massive opportunity to do a... well, what's known, I suppose, these days as a Hamilton-esque race, but very much a Vettel-esque race from the years gone by. Well, every driver's goal as a leader is to get out of the DRS range of second place at the end of lap 2, and we've certainly succeeded with that. We're 3.6 seconds clear of that little bunch of drivers. It seems like Alonso's very much keeping Lewis Hamilton on his toes, which is great to see. And Sergio Perez has got into 4th. His teammate Hulkenberg started in 4th, but another great display from Force India, but clearly... the Red Bulls, the Williams cars, or Nico Rosberg haven't made any huge strides just yet. Well, this race is going by really quickly, and we are nearing half distance, and we've got a gap of 4.1 seconds now to Lewis Hamilton. And we're meant to come into the pits into this lap. I just worry about this lap that we've got that sort of gap that we could well be held up in the pits. So, tyres feel fairly good to me. That's not the best way to enter that corner, though. Clearly being camera shy. We've got quite a bit of wear on the tyres, but I'm going to risk going 1 more lap, just so we don't get held up in the pits. I mean, sure, these guys might well not pit this lap, so it might be a risk that's not worth taking, but we've made the decision now not to pit. Lewis Hamilton comes into the pits. Alonso will be second, so it'll be a Ferrari 1-2 momentarily. Hopefully, Lewis will get... hopefully Fernando will get the under... bloody hell, I can't get anything out today. Hopefully, Alonso will get the overcut on Lewis. That's what I was looking for. But 1 more lap. We'll definitely come into the pits at the end of this lap. Alonso's now showing some good pace. But let's see what we can do. We can definitely have the pace to double stack here, which is nice. We've got about a 4-second gap still to Fernando Alonso. So as long as that doesn't get too extensive, we should be able to double stack here, no problem. Well, Fernando has clearly managed his tyres better than we have because he's pulled it back to a 3.3 second gap now. But nevertheless, we're coming into the pits. Should still be able to double stack with minimal issues. But it's only our pit crew out and the Force India pit crew. Sergio Perez is also there, as you can see. Fernando's coming in behind us, so they're going to be fairly quick here. Don't want to jeopardise Fernando's pit stop at all, but the tyres are fitted. Fernando pulls up behind us. That's worked out okay. He's coming to his... Oh, he's been stopped. Oh, dear, that's not worked out too well for him. But into P2 we go. Kvyat's obviously still running on the option tyres, yeah. But apart from that, we do look okay. But it seems that because of that double stacking, that Sergio Perez has managed to jump Fernando. That's annoying, but there wasn't really too much we could have done about it in the end. I wanted to stop a lap later. Lewis has definitely gained some time from that undercut, but I think it was a risk worth taking. Not great for Fernando, but given the pace of the car, I can imagine he'll probably be able to fight past the Force Indias. But we're only 2 seconds clear of Lewis Hamilton there, so we haven't got that cushion that we did before. But nevertheless, we are at least still in net first for now. So this should hopefully be the last time that we're not in P1 in this race. Daniel Kvyat is the last man to come into the pits, and we take over P1. That's great to see. And hopefully, if this all goes well, the next segment should be not far from us crossing the line. But Lewis Hamilton is now only 1.1 seconds away, so we've got to really put the style on here. The Mercedes, we know certainly in past races have been better than their competitive on the prime tyres, certainly. So we've got to keep Hamilton behind. Certainly now, I mean, Alonso's down to P7. That's an absolute disaster. But again, he should be able to fight past a Toro Rosso, McLaren and 2 Force Indias, you would have thought. But we'll have to see in a few laps' time how he's getting on with that job. Oh, well, that was interesting. I don't know if you saw, but that Marussia, whichever one it is, whether it's Max Chilton or Jules Bianchi, I'm not sure which one, just had an engine blow. We were just about to lap them, but they clearly just didn't want to race anymore. Engine's gone, but it looks like we're not going to get a safety car. Lewis Hamilton is fairly close behind. He's not really challenging too much. Seems he can't make much of an impact with that DRS at the moment, which is good to see. But he is on slightly older tyres than us, so I'm hoping that this pursuit will end fairly quickly. He's on full revs, my engineer's just told me that. But we've got a little bit of fuel spare, so we're also on full revs. So I don't think there should be much issue with holding this lead, but Lewis Hamilton might well think differently. Time for the penultimate lap then. This is a great chance. Oh, somebody else going off at the top of the circuit. Another failure, it seems. And that's weird. We've just gone to lap another car and they've retired out the race. Goodness knows who that is. But anyway, with 2 laps to go, we lead the Austrian Grand Prix from Lewis Hamilton. Sergio Perez still in 3rd place. Haven't had a chance to look back at who's in 3rd, 4th, or even in the points finishes. No idea how the guys have recovered who didn't qualify for the Q3 session have done. I'm not sure at all. But we have managed to keep this pressure from Lewis Hamilton going because he's been quite close to us throughout these laps. But I don't think he's going to do anything. He's not really gone and made a real diving move up the inside because he's not had the pace on the DRS straight. It's been a little bit too far back. And we've just over a lap to go. We could well be able to secure our 2nd win in 3 races. It just makes me think now how that win in Canada, if we could have got it and not gone for a stupid strategy, let Fernando through all those other omens that you look back in hindsight and think maybe it was the wrong decision. Because if we'd have took 3 wins in a row, 4 wins, a bit ahead of ourselves there. But if we'd have taken 3 wins in a row, just imagine what that would have done for a title chance. But Lewis has got the DRS, but he's not going for it. It's last lap, so you would think he'd go for it, but he's not interested. And that might well be the last chance Lewis Hamilton has in this Austrian Grand Prix. No doubt we were helped by that wet qualifying session. Do not think this is the car's pace. The car's raced well today and it's been on good pace, but Hamilton has definitely been the faster man. He's set the fastest lap of the race, but he's 1.6 seconds behind now. We've just had a run of a bit of luck, to be honest. Wet qualifying in Austria, wet qualifying in Canada. Monaco's just crazy anyway, so I feel like we're going to struggle a little bit in the next few races, but it's been a real good opportunity the last 3 races to do well. I suppose Silverstone can throw up anything in terms of the weather conditions, but this would be a fantastic one. Remember that Fernando Alonso has not won a single race so far this year. Yes, he's got a few podiums to his name, But 2 wins for us over no wins for Fernando would be absolutely massive. But we come up now to the final few corners. Just going to put the car in standard just so we don't have any sort of embarrassment and lose it through running out of fuel. Up to the penultimate corner. And now the final corner. And we are going to come across the line to win the 2nd race for Ferrari of this season. We win the Austrian Grand Prix. Brilliant results. Pretty well a lights to flag win. Albeit Daniel Kvyat did overtake us through going for the overcut. But apart from that, it was a lights to flag finish. And unbelievably, Fernando could not get past Kvyat, Button, Hulkenberg or Perez. For the 2 Force India drivers, that is an absolutely tremendous result. 3rd and 4th. Great result for Button in 5th. Great result for Daniel Kvyat in 6th. Nico Rosberg recovers to 8th place, but that's going to be another 14 points which Hamilton will pull out in the championship battle. Lotus get 2 points and Sebastian Vettel can only recover for the solitary point. And we gain 30 points on Red Bull in the Constructors' battle. Ricciardo can't get any points and 0 points for the Williams team today. The 2 retirees were Pastor Maldonado and Max Chilton. So we actually leapfrogged both Vettel and Alonso in the race for 3rd. And we're only a point behind Daniel Ricciardo. Now that's a brilliant race for us, of course. All of our contemporaries didn't do very well at all. Lewis Hamilton did well, but apart from that, Alonso was only down in 7th. Vettel only got a solitary point. Rosberg with 4, and Ricciardo not scoring at all. And we're only 16 points behind Nico Rosberg, believe it or not now. And the Force Indias, with that result, lock out the 4th row of the Drivers' Championship at the moment. First points of the season for for Daniel Kvyat and for Romain Grosjean. Just the 5 drivers not to score any points now. The usual suspects from the 2 bottom teams and Adrian Sutil. But we have moved, albeit we now tie with Red Bull. But on count back of us winning 2 races, Red Bull only winning 1 race this year, we have moved into 2nd into the Constructors. Again, the only real thing that let us down that race, the only negative I can call on is that double stacking. Because if we hadn't have done, I feel like Alonso would have at least finished 3rd, if not challenged Hamilton for 2nd and maybe made our life a little bit easier. But a great podium for Sergio Perez, quite unbelievable, massively helped by the fact they out-qualified Jenson Button in the qualifying session in Q3. But we have a shake of hands and a hug from Lewis Hamilton, but we beat our compatriot today, and a great win that was for us. An extra 25 points to our name. And we go to ours and Lewis's home race next. It's the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. That is going to be a really exciting race, and hopefully you guys will stick around for that one as well. But if you enjoyed that video, please make sure to leave it a like, comment your thoughts on that race as well, and we'll be back very, very soon on Saturday for the British Grand Prix. The team will be reviewing our driver status this weekend, and we are ahead of Alonso in the championship, but the I think the teammate challenge is still in Alonso's court. Rain forecast for Friday, which isn't really a problem, but sunny skies for Saturday and for Sunday. We are losing now in that teammate challenge we had for all throughout, but we're not too far off him now. We're level on the out racing field. We've got more points than Alonso. In terms of qualifying fastest laps and podiums we need to work on. Race results, very happy, and Andy Knight is very happy with that. What a brilliant result at Austria. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. I think I'll say the same to you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. You can show that appreciation by leaving a like down below. But until the British Grand Prix in a few days' time, that is it from me. So as I said, enjoy the rest of your day. Take care, folks, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye for now.